In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can use Web Sketchpad to model fraction addition and fraction subtraction. For the very first problem, let's focus on 2/3 plus 1/5. We'll begin by constructing 2/3. I'll tap the Add Fraction tool. Notice that the numerator and denominator are given. Their default values are 1 and 4. And we see this segment of length 1/4. Now I'd like the numerator of my fraction to be 2, so I will tap on 2 to attach my numerator to it. So now we have a numerator of 2. I'd like my denominator to be 3, so I'll tap on 3. So here we have a segment of length 2/3. Now we just need to place the segment. The left endpoint of the segment is glowing. I'll tap to attach it to 0 on my number line. And now our tool is done. We see the fraction 2/3. To continue, I'll add 1/5 to this 2/3. I'll again tap Add Fraction, and my numerator will be 1. And my denominator will be 5. So here's 1/5. I'd like to add that to 2/3, so I'll tap on the right endpoint of 2/3 to attach these together. So here, this point represents the sum of 2/3 and 1/5. But what is this point? Well, using this divisions value here, I can subdivide this region from 0 to 1 on my number line into equal parts. So for example, I could change the 1 to say a 7, and I've just divided this into 7 equal parts. Well, that doesn't help me figure out what my sum is, so what should I divide this into? Well, how about if I make this 15? Now I can see that 2/3, well, that I can count and see that that is 10/15ths. And my 1/5, well, that's 3/15ths. So altogether, I have 13/15ths, which I can count. So this provides a very nice way for thinking about the algorithm from a visual perspective. All right, I'm going to undo a few steps here. And I'm back to 2/3. And what if I would like to now subtract 1/5 instead of add 1/5? Well, I'll tap on the Subtract Fraction tool. I will create my fraction, 1/5. And now notice that it's the right endpoint of this segment that's glowing. So I'm going to attach that here to the endpoint of 2/3. And we see it appears a little bit below 2/3, so we can see what's being subtracted. And what's being subtracted is this red segment as compared to this blue segment. So here we have 2/3 minus 1/5. And again, given what our denominators are, we can choose our divisions of 15ths, and that allows us to see here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 15ths as our difference. So that's model number 1. The second model that's in the blog post that accompanies this, these two models, is similar. But here, entering the fractions is admittedly easier. I can just type 2/3, and we see that here, 2/3 of this first rectangle, which represents one whole. And now let's add to that 1/5, so I'll type in 1/5. And here that's represented in blue. Again, the question is, well, how much of this whole is 2/3 plus 1/5? And this time to divide this into equal parts rather than type a value, I can drag the slider point along and divide this into 4 equal parts, 5 equal parts, or 6. And how can I divide this so I can easily see what that sum is? If I keep going, 14 and 15. That makes a split that allows me to see that 2/3 is 10/15 and 1/5 is 3/15. This allows me to add fractions with the common denominator all the way up to 24. And it does not allow me to do subtraction. For that, you have the very first model. So that concludes this brief introduction to these two models that represent fraction addition and fraction subtraction.